And we are also coming to you on Facebook and over the airwaves, and for those that participate on Zoom. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Keller?
He's requested to
Not
be
here.
absent.
All right. Mrs. Clock?
Here.
Mr. Cromer?
Here.
Mr. Skips?
He requested to be absent.
Mrs. Welch?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson?
Here.
Mr. Mayor?
Here. Thank you. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by our clerk. Remain standing after the pledge for the invocation led by our pro tem Jeff Jacobson.
I pledge allegiance
To
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity that we can gather here tonight. We are grateful for our health and our freedoms that allow us to gather and conduct public business in this forum as a city council. We are grateful, Father, for the blessings of this great land and the freedoms that we enjoy. And we pray for thy spirit and thy wisdom to be upon all of our elected officials here in the city and the cities of Fairbanks, the borough, the state, and our federal government. Bless them that they will govern in the best interests of thy children, and that where there is strife and discord, that they might find common ground and compromise and be able to move forward those important issues that protect the life, liberty, and happiness of our citizens here and abroad. We pray for those who are away and service in foreign lands, that they will be protected and they'll be able to return home safely to their families. And we are grateful, Father, that we'll be able to celebrate our independence in just a few weeks and the liberties that we enjoy in this great land. And may we be mindful that we have to be vigilant in appreciating those who fought for those liberties and to maintain those liberties wherever we can. And we pray for these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. We'll now go to an action item. Approval of our agenda, pages 1 through 2. If you'll bring that up, Madam Clerk.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion to approve the agenda, seconded.
Move to amend the agenda on item 12B by moving that to consent agenda. That item is approval of the Fairbanks Industrial Borough City of North Pole Emergency Medical Services Ambulance Contract Renewal.
There's a motion to make item B consent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call on the amendment.
Okay, Mrs. Clock?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson?
Here.
Mrs. Welch?
I mean, yes.
Mrs. Welch? Mr. Cromer? Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? Seeing none. Now call for the amended motion now for the agenda.
All right,
Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Cromer?
Yes.
Mrs. Clock?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? I see none, so we now have a agenda. We'll go to item 5. If you bring that up, pages 3 through 10. I need an approval of the minutes from June the 5th, 2023 meeting.
Move to approve the meeting minutes.
There's a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Seconded by Cromer. Any discussion, correction? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
All right, Mr. Cromer?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mrs. Clock?
Yes.
Mrs. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Congratulations, the minutes are now approved. Go to item 6, communications from the mayor. This time I kind of wrote them out, so kind of know what I was talking about. It's been very busy since we met last. On June 6th, we did a deep review of our grants progress and projects with TBEC, that's Two Bear Environmental Conservation and Consultants. So that was between the city of North Pole, myself and Danny Wallace, with the principal and the program director for TBEC. On June 8th, I was at Eielson Air Force Base from 1555 to 1710 to meet with Assistant Secretary of the United States Air Force, Dr. Ravi Chadaray. And he is in charge of things like installations and setting up anything that has to do with housing and infrastructure. And Dr. Chadaray was joined by Brittany Smart from the borough. There was no representation from the city of Fairbanks. So the only mayor that was there was myself. And I was very happy to say that my reference to Dr. Chadaray, everybody's telling you all these problems. Now we have to have solutions. So I would like to think that we could start a public-private partnership. He's doing that right now as we speak down at Edwards Air Force Base in California. So he asked me to give him 60 days while they iron out how they're doing at Edwards and see if we can fashion something of the same sort here. Anybody could tell them all the problems, but they won't bring a solution to the table. On June the 9th, I was shadowed by our intern, Owen. Maybe he'll give us a report on what he learned shadowing the mayor for about 3.5 hours that day. Saturday, June 10th, I attended the celebration of life for Andy Rice at Harvest Church between 3 and 5:30, and they asked me as a mayor to speak. You may not know this, but she was the state leader for the National Day of Prayer for the state. And sometimes that was held right here in this chambers when I was a brand new mayor in 19. She was very instrumental in many of the spiritual well-beings of not just our community, but also across the state. So she was very well spoken of at the Harvest Church. June 12th, that was Monday, Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation, we had a Romanian delegation that came. Well, we had them, my wife and I had them all day, as a matter of fact. Started out that they had an economic leader, his name was Marius, a journalist named Andy, and an inventor entrepreneur named Adrian. So I kind of like what Adrian has to offer. It may very well be a godsend to our water pipes and insulation for combined heat power to insulate hot water pipes as well. But he's willing to come here and try it and see if it works at no cost to us. I thought that was very good. On June 15th, Mr. Kelly Patrick, he's the operational vice president of Ballard Corporation from Louisiana. He was here at the request of Kelly Schubach. You might remember her. She was a senatorial candidate, and they're trying to bring us investments into Alaska from Louisiana for us to be able to have assisted care and senior care housing here. That's the big push to get that. And he chose 104 East 6th Avenue as his primary target. So he takes that back to the board to see if they want to do that. So that's about $1 million investment just in that one property alone. And that brings jobs to us too, by the way. This past, just yesterday on Father's Day, I was a member of the Executive Observers Program with the Civilian Advisory Board. There were a total of 32 of us. I spent my table, my wife and I, we were with a Major General call sign. What was his call sign? Machete from the Philippines. Okay, so we had people from all of Indochina Air Forces there yesterday. They're here to observe the red flag exercises. So it's one of the many things that we do and in our capacity on the Civilian Advisory Board and me on the Honorary Wing Commanders Program. One thing that was hosted at the Greens Restaurant up at the golf course, and that was from 1730 to 2100. The one thing that I won't elaborate too much on until I've had a chance to have a proper briefing from General Nahom. He's a lieutenant general. He wears the 3 stars down at Elmendorf. He's the NORAD commander, Alaskan Air Command commander, and NORCOM commander. He wears lots of stars, like a hat for every star. But his position that he's taking right now goes something to the effect that what he calls a junior enlisted, they may very well find that they're going to be living on base, and they may start building dormitories there for them. I don't know what that portends for the future of us building housing here, but that's going to have to be sort of ironed out. So with that, I have nothing more to report. And I will now go to the next step here. Does anyone have any councils members that have any questions of these things of the mayor?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Why do people from Louisiana want to come up here to and not why they want to invest in it? Is it like an organization or?
It's an organization, it's a corporation called Ballard. And I saw where they have assisted care homes all over the greater state of Washington. So they're moving around in different areas because they realize that Alaska is ripe for investment. So I'm sure they're doing it for profit reasons. I'm almost sure of that. And there are people that sit on that board of directors that may very well be interested in that. So we'd have to really look into what they're trying to do, but that's one of the things that Kelly Schubach has identified as a weakness in the state of Alaska right now is we don't have enough senior housing, good housing, affordable housing, or assisted care for our seniors. And I guess she knows that firsthand experience from her own family. So that's why. Something that's she's doing, so.
There.
Sure.
And looking over our minutes and stuff, I don't see anywhere noted that we have changed our July meetings to July 10th and 24th. So I just wanted to make sure that that is somewhere because I read through our minutes again, thinking it was there. It's not. It wasn't in our closing comments. So since we have the public here and employees, we have altered our June meeting schedule so we could have full quorum,
Right.
moving them to July 10th and 24th.
July 10th and 24th. Madam Clerk, what do you say? Are you going to put that on our website?
I'm sorry if it was not in the minutes, but yes, it's on the website. It's noticed on right on the news page of the website.
Great,
Hey,
thank you.
Do you think that should be posted in the paper for any reason? Seeing
No,
how we
I
no
think as
longer
long
use
as it's on our website, and even if we just put a flyer on our front door saying July city council meetings 10th and 24th, that should
24th.
capture enough people.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I got another question.
Yes,
What was the problems that the Air Force was having problems with that they brought up? You mentioned problems, but you didn't say what the problems were.
I can't understand. Did I mention what now?
So when you went to the mayors are supposed to go to the Air Force Base and talk about the housing and stuff.
I'm the only mayor who went there.
I
so
know, but what was the problem? You said they brought up problems. What was the problems that they brought up?
Was that same generic problems that we've all heard is that the people out there to do the building don't have enough skilled labor. Their cost of materials are sky high, and now the cost of interest. Those are the 3 problems. So we know those. So I said, well, why don't we do a solution about that? And do something like a partnership with the Air Force. If you want the housing, we want the housing. It's in our mutual best interest to have the housing. So why can't we do a public-private partnership? And that's what Dr. Shonda Ray said. He will work with me when he finds out how that's working out at Edwards Air Force Base. But those are the problems, but those aren't solutions. Those are the same problems that have been haunting us, except the interest rates just kicked in the last 7 or 8 months. Interest rates were almost nil 8 months ago. So we've been dealing with those interest rates, I guess, since November. Okay. But those are the problems. Part of what you see in this community, some of the things that are being built, the Air Force didn't identify that they needed a studio apartment, a 0 bedroom basically you're living in a great room is what it is. They never identify that for their families. So we have a lot of that here. We have a surplus of that here, in my opinion, more so than we have family type homes. But there was no one there to represent the city of Fairbanks at all. And I don't know where Mayor Ward, but I think he was out of country. So that help you?
Yep, I just
Thank you.
wanted-
All right. So we'll go on now on item 8. Madam Clerk, do we have any citizens in the audience or online who'd like to make comments?
Not that I know of.
Seeing none. Citizens' comments are closed. We go to department heads now. And Chief, would you like to start, Chief Heineken from the fire department first, sir?
Yeah, just a couple of brief things tonight, to bring to council. And good evening, everybody. So you may, if you were in the city today, you might have seen our crews out. They started hydrant testing today. So for the next 2 weeks, they'll be undergoing, every hydrant within the city limits of North Pole will be tested, which means, if they open it up and flow a copious amount of water off of each hydrant, so it can cause discoloration in the water in history, maybe some noise during the day in your plumbing. But it shouldn't be anything significant. And actually, over the last dozen years, we've really seen a decline in any type of effect from our hydrant testing. So it's an annual thing that we do every summer. The crews will be out over the next 2 weeks, making sure those hydrants are up to spec and flowing the amount of water we need from them. An update on the new engine. It's still sitting in Oregon as we speak. It's frustrating. I did get a message from them over the weekend that it is scheduled to be in Tacoma on the barge the first week of July now. I've sent them a message asking them for clarification as to why it's been sitting in Oregon for over a month. They did have a small checklist of things to do on it. Used Fire and Equipment is the dealership that it's at, and it's similar to like Seekins Ford would be. If Ford sends them vehicles, they do the post delivery inspection. Well, they're doing the same thing, and they did find a few little things that they were cleaning up on it, but I'm not quite sure as to why it's taken this time period to get it onto the barge and get it headed north. So hopefully we'll get that information from them, and hopefully that's the last delay we'll see, and it'll actually get on the barge the 1st of July. And I would really like it here by July 29th for our open house for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly expected it before June 29th, but I don't think we're going to see that. Staffing at the fire department is our latest hire started in the last 2 weeks. Sean Soria, he's doing well, going through his checkoff processes. And then we did the interview and testing process for the open position we currently have last week. So we'll be finishing that up probably tomorrow, tallying everything up, and hopefully be able to make an offer to the top candidate for the one open position that we have currently, and that'll bring us back to fully staffed at the fire department. And that's all I have this evening. I can take any questions.
Yes, Chief. Do you know about the route for the parade? Do you have any concerns about the 4th of July parade?
No, looked it over. Yeah, and no concerns. I'm really happy to hear that the parade's coming back for 4th of July, and we're looking forward to participating. We've already got the fire department's registration in, so we'll be there to help.
And with the coolness and wetness, do you foresee any problems with fireworks this year? Because I'm always having to pull the handle on that.
I
We
hate
have
to
pull the
speak
handle.
out loud, but as of right now, we're looking good. You know, things in Alaska can change daily and weekly,
Yes.
so I'm not going to hold my breath yet, but if the weather continues what it's been doing, we should be fine.
Any questions for the chief? Any concern?
What is our volunteer numbers like? Do we have a good cadre of volunteers?
Yeah, right now we have a small handful of really good dedicated volunteers, and that number, you know, it ebbs and flows quite a bit nowadays. The volunteer fire realm in the entire United States, not just North Pole, has really struggled in the last couple of decades. So we have some pretty good dedicated volunteers, but it's a small handful. We don't have a large cadre of volunteers at this time.
And as a result of being a volunteer, they can be afforded all the training and move forward with their certification.
Exactly. Yeah, really what our volunteers have kind of transformed, many years ago when I started, it was more community members volunteering to help their community. Now our volunteer firefighters are very young, inexperienced people trying to get a career in the fire service. So that's the benefit to them is we provide them free training, free experience, certifications, state IFSAC certifications and EMS certifications that they can use on a job resume to apply for the many, many fire jobs that are throughout the state and the lower 48 also.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Chief. Appreciate your
Thank
report.
you all.
Lieutenant, you're up next, sir, with the police department, sir.
Let's see. All right, so I don't have a ton for you folks. Things are looking up hiring wise. So our new detective actually starts tomorrow. I'll be doing his admin week for the next 4 days or so. Our new sergeant is in the process of driving up from Alabama right now. He actually texted me and was like, "We're in Arizona." And I was like, "What kind of GPS are you using?" But they have some other places they wanted to go see on their way up here. So that's good. He should be here shortly.
What is our new lieutenant's, our detective's name and our new sergeant's name?
The detective is Justin Cash and the sergeant is Michael Templin.
Thank you.
And then we just filled the other 2 officer spots. We're waiting to hear back on the final medical exam for the second officer, but we should get that in the next couple of days. I have no doubt he's going to pass his medical. That's Tyler Nicholson and Nicholas Davidson, which gets a little confusing if you say them both together. And so we're looking really good with that. That'll bring us up to where we need to be. Obviously, the 2 guys we hired most recently are super entry level. And so it's going to be probably April or March before we're able to utilize them fully. We're pressing forward in training, even though we are still somewhat short-staffed. Sergeant Dykeman is in Soldotna right now doing an advanced leadership course there called LEADA. And Sergeant Burgandy is working through an advanced interview and interrogation class. He's kind of beta testing one that's virtually done right now. We're meeting on the 27th, Chief and I, to discuss the final planning stages of the new cameras and door locks in the addition over there. Had to go through, of course, the funding and then getting a sole source. And now we got to actually figure out where we're exactly putting the cameras and what we want. The Donahue residence on 5th Avenue, if you weren't aware, has been brought into compliance. So in the last, I think, 4 days prior to his deadline, he was out there like the Tasmanian devil, just getting,
Had to have been-
yeah, just procrastinating. right
Wonderful
at the end.
news. Wonderful news.
But he did comply, and so that's great. It looks much better over here there if you haven't seen it. So next we'll be addressing the other property on East 6th. We are fully ready for the 4th of July parade, and we're planning on having 8 officers there, counting the 2 new guys, because they just need to hang out with one of us. So we'll have a good presence there. The JAG grant has been submitted, but I was recently contacted by them and they're looking to actually change the dates back to the old start date in October because they received so few submissions this go around. So I'm going to actually end up having to resubmit that in October. And then the final thing, do you guys have a copy of the public safety assistant
Yes.
job description that we're working through right now? So I'd be happy to take questions about that or any of these other things I've discussed, but that's something we're viewing as very beneficial for the police department, going to kind of enable us to branch out and do some stuff. Some of us don't really have the time to invest in the community. But it should be a really great thing.
When do you anticipate advertising for that position?
Well, as soon as possible, as soon as we're able to actually have it approved and it'd be something that is decided to go forward with.
Do we approve that, Mayor, as the council, or does the HR and you?
We will do that. And I was going to say, as a matter of protocol, please go through the chair because I was about ready to ask him something, but you already
about
asked him. So when we have the 2 new hires and the new sergeant and all, how well will we be staffed finally? Will we back to where we have?
We'll be back to 13.
Okay,
Yeah. I am a little cautious because they still have to go through field training.
Yes, sir.
Right, and that's not always a guarantee.
Are we forecasting any losses out of our department now? Because I think we are, but
No, it's, in the total time I've been here, yeah, we've been fully staffed for a total of 7 months.
Okay.
That's the longest we've been fully staffed, so the clock
see
starts.
why I
ticking.
asked that question.
Yes,
So I'm not sure.
but there's nobody that's obviously, on the horizon of leaving right now.
Okay. Any questions for the lieutenant? Mrs. Welch.
No, not so much a question, but just a quick comment. I had the honor of riding with Officer Bloom last Friday. And I want to say that he is an excellent officer. He was quick to explain to me everything that was happening, allowed me to come out, and we actually had somebody with 2 people in the vehicle, and he said, I wouldn't mind if you're standing out here and kind of keeping an eye on this second person. And we waited for the trooper officer to come in. And so I ended up getting to see an arrest being made. We traveled and took the person to the jail. And so I got to see the inside of the arrival part of the jail, I've never been there before. So, which is a good thing, I guess.
Not super exciting.
And yeah, no, I mean, it was interesting to see the whole process. And also one thing that I want to highly tell everybody out there who might be listening is that we have some very competent officers in this that are very kind and very matter of fact of what they are doing. And the only reason why people get a ticket is because they broke the law. I mean, we talked to people driving a 4-wheeler out in the street. They ended up with a warning and they had everything else in order and stuff like that. This person ended up going to jail for a short period of time, but losing his vehicle in an impound because it hadn't been registered since 18 or something like that, So it's not that these officers are out there trying to look for somebody who's doing wrong or trying to nail him for something stupid. It is really something that is important for the safety of our families in this town. I mean, you have somebody who rides out there on a motorcycle going probably 90 miles an hour and running a stop sign. It's just, it doesn't belong on our streets. And when they get caught doing it, then that's, so I appreciate it. And I told Officer Bloom that I would write a small essay story or whatever that we're probably going to put on the website. He thought that was a great idea to do that. And hopefully we'll have some more of those if I get a chance to shadow with some other people in other departments or other employees that are willing to let me scrutinize them a little bit. But I told him also it would be between him and the chief actually approving it. So, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate your report. When's Chief Dutra getting back? Okay. Tell him he can take his time getting back. You're in good hands here. We'll go to Madam Tricia, our accountant, and is Michelle going to join you up here? You may. No, she's not camera shy.
I don't have a lot tonight. Michelle got back last Thursday from her vacation and we put her to work right away. We've been keeping her pretty busy since. Today she's worked on payroll, and Thursday and Friday we pulled some stuff, mostly working on audit stuff. She is still working on the bank rec, so I haven't sent that out because it's not complete. And I did send email out tonight to you about the interest that we earned on AML in the month of May. I will probably give you a little bit more than just a figure. I will do a comparison between last year and this year, so you can kind of see what compare things. Just one figure doesn't mean much, but it's an impressive figure. Anyway, that's all I have, and I'll answer any questions you might have of me.
Do you mind if I share what our evaluation is for the Fairbanks
sure,
Star
that'd be
Borough?
great. Yeah.
Yeah, I get this once a year. So as of June 16th, 2023, The certification of the property tax rolls for real property here in the city is presented as follows. Our certified full value is $377,331,203. Our residential exemption value for our exemptions for residential as of June 14th was $19,854,635. And our state exemption value, which is senior citizens, disabled veterans, widows, and widowers, was $23,928,000. So there's also what we call state exemption taxes, because there are things that the state's exempt from paying us on. So our net receivables with rounding differences, we expect to net $1,168,000 from property tax. And I'll have the clerk make copies of this and put it up for you folks to see. But this just came in, so this is hot off the press.
Yeah, I got that Friday.
Yeah. So we're in good shape. And any questions of Tricia and how hard they're working over there to get us ready for the audit? Okay, thank you, Tricia. Appreciate you coming. We'll now go to Ellie, HR, who's joining us tonight from home. Ellie?
Hi, guys. Sorry, trying to occupy a moment. I don't have much to report. I've been working on things with Trish that might be necessary for the audit and trying to get some things formatted in a manner that makes them easily accessible, along with just setting up my own other projects. I handed the mayor something that we've got to work on that I'm sure he'll discuss with you when we get a little bit further along with it. Today, with some new legislation coming out. And that's pretty much where it's been at.
Are you talking about HR insights for the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act?
Yes, sir.
Because we only have till the 27th of June to be in compliance with that. And
Yeah. I received that from last week and started the process of getting the research done on that. And handed that to you today. I've got that out, waiting for some feedback from AML on that. So, and as you saw in that, there's a lot of HR and a lot of businesses and stuff that are not quite ready.
43% are not ready.
Right.
This close. Yeah.
So
It's sort of surprising. I
I'd like
never heard of it.
to recover from that a little bit, but we're one of them. But I'd like to see us kind of jump on and get it addressed quicker than some of the others.
Any questions for Ellie? Yes.
I noticed that she left on the desk for us about the training, human resource training.
Yes,
and the
ma'am.
dates that She's put forth from June to September, and it looks like you're doing one a week,
One a month,
one a month. Okay.
as per requested by to try and give people time with the 4 months. That gives people time to get in. I don't have a whole lot who haven't completed, but I do have a few. Some of them might be better formatted for the digital, some of them might be formatted in person, so trying to work with them as best as I can after talking to some of them.
Did we do a race or something like that for departments to see who can get it done as an incentive?
That's up to you guys.
Like a pizza party or an ice cream party?
Like- Or do you want to offer?
I'm thinking pizza party. Or maybe an ice cream party, depending on what day. that we
Depending
say,
here.
Bring out the humor.
Could we have a vote on or roll on who on the city council has completed all 4 trainings?
I do know who has and has not completed. I don't know that that's something that I should speak to on a public format, though.
No, I don't think so. Thank you, though.
Challenge the rest of you to complete them.
Yeah, we're leaders, so we need to set the pace.
I have 4 certificates. Do you?
I do.
Do you, have any more questions for HR? Ellie, thank you very much for your report. Madam Clerk. Do you have anything for us?
Absolutely. So just super fast. I don't know if you guys, anybody tried to go to the website today, but it's having some issues. It's not really an issue. We went live with our new site this morning. Ampersand switched it all over for us. So the website's pointing in the new direction of the new site, but they need to get that certificate in place first. Well, second. So it goes live first and then you can bypass it to get that certificate. So you might get that little pop-up that said is not safe. They're working on the certificate and it should be cleared up by tomorrow morning.
Madam Clerk, are you hearing anything from AML about the summer conference that we need to know about in August down in Homer?
Nope, I haven't received anything lately.
There's not much going on, but as a conference of mayors, I am being asked to be a part of that. So there's an initiative for us to get more involved as mayors. So they're raising the ante on that. And at the same time, do we want to give some affirmation tonight if we want to be part of the Alaska's community military civilian? What do we call that? Help me what I'm trying to tell you. There's the defense forum that's coming up at the end of August up here. It's the third time we've hosted one for the Alaska Defense. It's America's Defense Communities, ADC, but it's the Alaska Defense Forum because it's being hosted in Alaska. So we've been asked to be sponsors to that too. So I'll share that with you the next time, what sponsorship levels there are there.
All right, sounds good. The only other thing I have for the council, I have a piece of paper that should be circulating. It is the a piece of paper I didn't realize I needed to have, and it's just the certification from the old council certifying the election for the new council. So I just need everybody's signature on that, pretty please. And that's all I have.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, every time I try to address or go to our city website, it takes me to a Russian site. So
A Russian site?
yes,
That's interesting.
All the letters are in Cyrillic.
Oh, okay. I know a couple of us yeah, and I've been on it a couple of times too, so I'm not sure. Maybe clear all your cookies or something, maybe. That's scary.
It's a previous mayor's ghost that comes in there.
I guess.
.org now.
Alaska.org.
ORG.
Word.com.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe try the .org and not the .com, although they should both go to the same place, but I will definitely talk to Revise about that.
Thanks, Mayor.
Any other questions or concerns to the clerk?
Oh, there you go.
Do we have a borough rep report?
Chandra has gone. And at this point in time, what's going to happen is they didn't get out till 1 o'clock in the morning. The thing that we were interested in had to do with Brooks Park, and they did not get to that.
Brookside? Park?
Yeah, Brookside Park. So they'll be discussing it this Thursday.
Okay.
And I did have one question for the city clerk. This document that you just passed out, I'm not on that.
It's the certification from the outgoing council.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Pass this back down to the clerk. Thank you for your report.
You're welcome.
Now, I promised we'd be up at 7:40 and it is 7:40. And so under ongoing projects, we have audit concerns, item A, Mr. Gary Hutchison from Alliance CPAs. Gary, you get the front row here. Just speak into the microphone clearly, pull it up to you. Tell us who you are for the record, please.
Good evening, Gary Hutchison, CPA with Alliance CPAs. We're currently in the middle of the 2022 audit. Normally this time of year, we're here with a final product. And that's not the case today. We're here to talk about issues that are impacting your ability to produce a financial statement that can be audited, and where we are and what we think is might be the situation going forward. 2022 was the year that your new accounting system, Tyler, was implemented and audited. So, and it's new. And when when software is new, there's a learning curve for all around it and all that use it. That affects, generally your ability to do your job and to do the normal things that are done by your finance department. And that is the situation now. We began to see, and it impacts us. We are affected, and our ability to do the audit is affected by the new software and the new system. We began to see some of the issues in November of 2022. The Tyler system brought a new chart of accounts to be used by the city, and it affected the basic infrastructure that we use in the audit in drafting the financial statement from all the various accounts that you have. And we wanted to get an early start on it. So we were looking at Tyler 2022 numbers in November. And we could see that there were, we decided to do a couple of things when we did that, not only get a leg up on trying to rebuild the infrastructure that involved the chart of accounts and your reports, but we also wanted to look at the 2021 numbers as a control for our work. We wanted to mirror 2021 with a Tyler chart of accounts. Then we would know that our work was going to was sound for the 2022 audit. And when we did that, we could see the numbers were different, and they were different in very many ways, and in substantial ways. So we blew the alarm and had a meeting, talked to the mayor about concerns. If the balance sheet out of 2021 is brought into 2022 for Tyler and it's wrong, it affects 2022. So you have to fix those numbers. And so this is a big deal. And I question whether or not you would be auditable if these situations weren't addressed, weren't fixed, corrected as it relates to 2022. And so we came up with an approach and to fix the 2021 Tyler numbers, but it would require, and we knew it, some work in 2022 almost across the board to the extent that affects balance sheet accounts. And that was going to be a chore. There wasn't anything easy about that. So that's this kind of sets the stage as we went into 2023 and began to plan for this 2022 audit. The use of the chart of accounts in relation to the reports is a big deal, and I like to talk about a movie to describe how important this is, how important it is to have the chart of accounts, which is, let's say it's 900 accounts, formatted properly so that it brings your information together accurately according to your funds. This is how important it is. And there was a movie, and it was called The Accountant. And at the very beginning, they had a little boy, and he put a puzzle together, and there were thousands of pieces of puzzle. It meant absolutely nothing. But when he put that puzzle together, it did two things. Number one is it told a story. And the other thing is you could tell what was wrong. That's the importance of the work that we do with building the reports off your chart of accounts. It'll let us tell a story, and it'll help us see what needs to be fixed, help us see what's wrong. Now that got complete. I think that got completed in May of 2023. And there were a couple of revisions. And I think we updated with 21 initially, and then a version of 22, and then a second version in 22. And it wasn't until then that we had it to where we felt comfortable, and we started passing it out, saying, all right, this is going to help you identify things that need to be fixed. So we are a month later. We are making progress. Just in the last week, we have come up with, I think, an approach that is going to allow us to help repair some of these accounts that need it. So, and we're working toward that. We're helping your crew do that and working with them. So the thing about the audited financial statements, you can't go on forever. So I told the mayor this the other day. We're going to draw a line in the sand. It's probably about the middle of July, and let the chips fall where they may, because you have to have a product by the end of the month. And so we hope that the work that we do between now and then is going to repair things to the degree needed to have a normal, somewhat normal audit opinion on those financial statements. It's possible it won't. It's possible that the opinion will be a disclaimer. I think that's probably the worst possibility. There may be qualifications on the audit opinion, things that you haven't seen before. So it's just a heads up. But it's important that this work be completed. I like to think of it in 4 stages. We need 3 of the 4 stages to get the audit done. And the first thing is identify the problem, what happened. And we know that there was a cutoff problem affecting the various modules at 12/31/21. And then that detail was not brought over into Tyler, it appears. and then we could see, anyway, so that's a lot of what we're dealing with, but not entirely. The second thing is for us to understand what you did in relation to that issue, because your folks knew this cutoff issue was in play and did things to try and work around some of the software issues that they were dealing with. And that's an important thing for us to understand what you did. And then the third thing is the fix, being able to determine what it is we have to do to get the records properly reported. And that's 3 out of the 4. And so that's the approach we're using across the board. The fourth one, though, has to do with the repair of your modules. And that we're not going to deal with, but we'll be talking about it. Tricia will be hearing us, and some sort of approach needs to be done. So at the end of the day, we should be able to say, okay, this is what you need to do so you don't have this problem again next year. So there are some repairs that are needed in those modules. So that's it. See what we can do.
Gary, help me with item number 4. To repair the modules.
Mhm.
How big a task is that going to be?
I don't know.
It's going to be
And it might-
huge, isn't it?
It gets somewhat easy if you can talk about it.
Yeah.
See, so we can talk about it. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we couldn't. You could just see backward numbers. We would see just backward numbers. And now we know why. And we know that what we can do on our end in terms of the financial statement is easier than what Tricia may have to do to fix the module. And she's going to have to be talking to Tyler. And hopefully there's an approach that's not very labor intensive, because there's a lot of individual transactions.
Is
No.
There's a reason I chose the 24th of July. The council, instead of meeting on the 17th, is meeting on the 24th of July. Is that a reasonable period of time, being that today's the 19th of June? Because we still have at stake $200,000 that goes to Medicare. We have to have a federal audit before the 31st of July. Is that unreasonable to think that we can get there by the 24th of July, sir? I can't
it-
afford to lose
all-
$200,000.
All of the horses need to be pulling. Can't be any vacations. Can't be, any hiccups on our staff and your staff. So those are some variables, but we're going to try and do the things that need to get done. We're a lot better shape we were a week ago. A week ago, we're in better shape we were a week before in terms of understanding things, putting the puzzle together. So it tells
Well,
a story.
I could take what you're saying under advisement, and we'll just have to do, like you say, double down to be prepared You know, it's like a race to the finish line here. Try to get it all done. Items 1 through 3
Items 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
include into what you're talking. Any questions or any concerns? Now's the time to ask Gary. Mr. Jacobson's first.
Do we have any city employees involved in the audit that will be on vacation between now and July 24th? But we'll have available staff on our end to make sure that we can meet our obligations.
No, that can take back row for now. So says the mayor. We have priority. Okay,
Audit and $200,000
Yeah.
comes first.
there's no doubt about that. Anyone else? Miss Welch?
So I'm just curious if we've played with Tyler now for how many years? How come we have not known that there's issues and it comes down to the last little bit? So is it a Tyler problem or is it a just from going from one to the other? Is that what's causing it? I mean, you would imagine a because when we accepted the idea about taking in Tyler as our system, it sounded to me from what we heard from them that, oh yeah, it's just like a push of a button from this to the other. That's what I kind of was going at here. So thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Do we need like a part-time employee to get it done? No? Cost, well, like, not for like this year, but like, say like Danny, he has like a summer hire. It's just like getting prepared, like you have a seasonal person that helps you with the audit, like something, that's something to think about, like having someone to be there extra on hand for the audit season.
Miss Fogarty, you might remind our councilman that we have Altman and Rogers to assist you. I don't know if you knew that.
But I'm saying, like, if they need more help, they should probably think of,
That's the highest level you could get. That's people who know that.
I'm saying in the actual office, like. to
This
help
is
them
year
out.
round that they're there to advise her on what to do. Altman and Rogers is, so.
No suggestion.
We're far, far beyond where we were 5 years ago when it was just 3 people in that whole department. But that was quite frank with you, and you made me quite aware of that in the last 3 years. We took on so much in our water sewer department by adding and adding and adding that we took on from 570 accounts to 1,450, or what is it, Danny? 1,600 accounts now. It's huge. And no one foresaw how that was gonna react into our system. Now, did they, Gary? No one could foresee that. Growing pains, huge growing pains. So, and we do have a part-time person over there to help Melanie with all of that too, so. But we go back and reassess it. Anything else?
Well,
Sitting here realizing I left somebody out of the whole darn thing here tonight.
did you get an audit letter from us dated May 4th?
I don't have a May 4th. I have one from April.
April 19th.
I have April 19th, which I received it latter part of May.
That was probably the engagement letter.
Say again?
That might have been the engagement letter.
Yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
thing I have.
Mhm.
What does
Okay.
it say in the May letter?
Okay.
What's the May letter say?
Well, this is one that we brought over when it's a interim letter. And the most important thing I'll read to you. Significant internal control weaknesses continue to exist as the city of North Pole works to convert to the Tyler accounting software, and significant non-attest services may be required to correct balances not brought over into Tyler from Cassell. We are aware that the detail that was in the Cassell receivable and payable modules is not brought into Tyler, and that efforts are being directed to correct the cutoff problem that resulted. We are aware that the city has hired a CPA firm to help with the year-end accounting, and we understand our firm is to prepare the financial statements. Bookkeeping and preparing the financial statements are non-attest services. Such non-attest services do not constitute an audit under governmental auditing standards. We have given significant consideration to the scope of non-attest services we expect to provide, which may reasonably be thought to bear on independence and reach the conclusion that our independence has not been impaired. That's the letter. Also, excuse me. It says, it invites you to contact us. Auditors are required to ask the members of governance if they are aware in their capacity as members of governance of instances of fraud involving employees, management, or others that may affect the finances of the city of North Pole. Please respond individually to the auditors by email. We've got 2 emails there, or give us a call.
And my question would it be possible to have a copy of that letter as well?
You can have one immediately.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
We've never received that letter as a council, and that's
And it's one
disturbing.
that-
And I don't recall. I have the April letter, but not the one. What date was that? May 4th?
That one's May 4th.
Did you have one, Tricia? No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Atchison.
Right.
Thank you.
Danny, for somehow I passed you over. I don't know what I was thinking of. So before Mr. Rixey, if we can go back to our directors, Danny, would you bring us up to speed? I realized sitting, you sitting in the back row there, I forgot all about you.
All right, very good.
Thank you,
Have a
Gary.
good meeting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. For special topics, for Moose Creek, last week I toured the ongoing project areas with Respects Project Manager Karen Brady. HC, who is the subcontract for that project, continues to do soil work, which is mounding over water pipe locations and hydro seeding. And the HC work should be completed by the end of the month. Antenna replacements continue, and as of last week, 90% had been replaced. Again, that was due to communications issues, but we anticipate those swap outs to continue throughout the summer. Again, it's always the last 10% that are the toughest for these types of replacements. Digital files of all Moose Creek documentation have been completed, and we are in the process of sending those to the Air Force. And more importantly, we'll have both paper and digital copies of all information on the project down to the individual address level for future information requests. For example, we anticipate that in 10 years, someone will be asking for information about a particular address, and we'll have that both digitally and then in the archives, paper copies. For building, IGU paid their permit fees and are now working on installing approximately 30 new natural gas locations throughout the city within city limits. And IGU briefed a larger number for the North Pole area, but that includes the North Pole area rather than just inside city limits. So bottom line was we'll have 30 new natural gas installations within the city this summer. For Public Works, summer operations continue, and the folks are beginning to rotate out for summer leave. We are also beginning to consider options for soliciting bids for snow plowing for next year. Our 3-year contract ends on September 30th, and we'll need to get a new contract in place by October 31st or October 1st. And again, this will go through the normal bid process that we've used before. Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District Youth Corps, along with our Public Works folks, repaired and removed weeds from the rain garden, which I don't know if you knew we had a rain garden, but over here next to the North Pole Police Department, there's a rain garden that collects water from the roofs and feeds it to the plants. They also reinstalled a plaque that describes the project. We also met with DOT installers for the North Pole streetlight installation in the city main area. And they will start within the next 2 weeks. They're still waiting for final approval for DEC for some of the groundwork that they're going to be doing. But primarily they're going to be boring their installations rather than excavating roads and tearing up areas. And the DOT will go throughout each of the neighborhoods and drop off flyers. We're still waiting for those flyers so we can put them up on our website, but they are going to make every effort they can to alert homeowners as to what's going on. Because even though, again, it's been advertised and we've briefed it in this forum, we're going to have folks that don't know what's going on with the new streetlights. And that should be done at the end of the summer. For utilities, there was a water leak behind North Pole, the North Pole Hotel last month, beginning of last month, and that was temporarily fixed. They're still waiting on a part for that. So we did get a call from the Hotel North Pole asking what was going on. Within that area, there's some gravel work that's done on the ground where they excavated. They're going to pave that over this summer, but they have to wait for that part to come in. They don't want to have to dig that up twice. If those of you that came in past the police department, you may have noticed that there's been digging that's going on. That's the sewer line that got repaired. It had frozen numerous times this winter, and they installed a heat trace on that pipe, and that's a solution that will hopefully keep that from freezing this coming winter. Again, it'll be under warranty for another year. This did not cost the city anything as it was under warranty. But again, we'll see if that's the fix for that particular location. And then finally, the Old City Water Plant painting project. I hosted a meeting with a few citizens led by Tammy Randolph from Randolph Insurance to discuss the future of that project. She delivered a petition signed by local businesses in opposition to the project plan. I mentioned that we would move forward with a proposal to the council after the school year begins, so not until August, and that at least 3 options would be presented for painting. And then we'd offer other options to the council to include just leaving the building as it is, white, or putting a fence around the property or some other way to mitigate the side of the property itself. But I also emphasized to her and to the group that we'd be very transparent with the process and that the options would be publicized. It was a good meeting. It was a friendly meeting, and there were no issues. Again, it really was good to sort of lay out what we were thinking about, which was significantly different than what they had heard. So more to follow on that, but again, nothing will be done to that building without council approval, and that won't happen until the beginning of the next school year. And that's all I have, subject to questions from the council.
So Danny, has there been any further involvement with the Rotary Club about taking that building and making a glass recycling center out of it? Or is that still dead? Is that dead in the water?
It's certainly not dead in the water. Jerry Million from the Rotary Club came over and we talked about different options. Again, certainly in the city of North Pole, putting a recycling center somewhere is a great idea. And so I talked to him about some different options. I'm not sure if that location is the best one that's suitable for that.
Yeah.
But we have, and he was part of the group that came over to talk about the painting project. So, but I think those discussions are ongoing with the Rotary Club.
Any questions for Danny? Okay, thank you, Danny.
Okay.
Sorry I overlooked you there. So, Mr. Howard Rixey, you're in the hot seat from the North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce, only one that has community in its name there. Go ahead.
So just as a reminder, I'm Howard Rixey, the Vice President of the North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce. So I think our last time we met was in March. So there's a lot of things that happen. I actually gave you a hard copy of some things I'm going to talk to. Something that's not on my list here that I wrote in the last minute. So since our last meeting, Pizza Hut has moved into their new location and Saigon Garden has opened up. And there's a couple other business entities that are getting ready to open over there on Hurst Road. So
Went to Saigon Garden. It was nice.
yeah, it is. So anyways, that's fantastic news there.
So I saw the fire chief there and it just reminded me that one of the things that we worked out is getting them to be able to post their own things on the marquee and the roundabout. And Jed, just sort of a reminder. So one of the things we did when we created that marquee, we also created the same thing for the fire or the police department. So if you guys want some new training or whatever there, I can show you guys how to do it. It only takes about 30 seconds to post something. So anyway, so that is available to you free of charge there. So on to what I have a report there. So our on May 20th, we had our cruising with the Lions put on the Cruising with Santa car show and street fair, and then the chamber put on their spring bazaar. So in the mall, the spring bazaar, we had I think it was 27 booths. Outside the car show had 117 show cars and 30 vendors, and between the two there we saw just under 3,800 people in that 5-hour period. So that's a big impact to the community. Actually, I would like to say that's probably one of the biggest events in the community. So, and we're happy to do that. Just last week we celebrated Alaska Speed Week, and that was a case of I'll call them the car racers out of the Mat-Su Valley. They were doing a statewide, I'll call it a road rally, and it was coming up the Parks Highway, stopping at different communities and what have you. And North Pole happened to be one of its pit stops where they did a show and shine. So they had about 25 cars in their group as far as race cars, and there was about 10 or so local cars that joined them. And then we had some food out there, and all said and total, I would have to say that we probably had about 300 people, spectators and whatnot out there. So it was a good event. Originally, we had this Santa Summer Solstice Barbecue Contest, which was a Kansas City barbecue contest one day, and the State Cook-Off Association contest the next day, along with a kids barbecue and all that. We only had 3 people register. We think part of that was the registration fees and the formality of it. So we canceled it there, and we're going to reinvent it next year. One, we're not going to go KCBS or SCA. We're going to make it less formal and do a Army versus Air Force versus Alaska homegrown barbecue contest and do that. So, but more to think about that, and we'll get it on the calendar by the end of December there for next summer. The firecracker run is scheduled July 1st. So that start and finish is right here in City Hall. Just
What
like
time?
you step off at 10 o'clock. So, but we'll be out here at 8 o'clock in the morning, getting all set up and everything else there. And like there's registration online as well as there's registration in person. But the same route as last year. So anyways, good to go. As already been mentioned, the 4th of July parade, we're very happy to lead that effort to bring it back. It's been several years since we did it. We are staging. So one, it is on the 4th of July. And we're staging over there just like we had in the past over by the Thai restaurant Attaboys and North Pole Laundry. Typically we have around 40 entrants between walkers, floats, cars, and everything else. So the plan right now, and Jed, this is for you. So we're assuming that y'all are going to lead out. The police are going to lead out with the motorcycle, is what Steve normally does. And then right behind that is going to be the antique cars. And following that, then will be the rest. The reason we put the antique cars there is that they can't go really slow. They overheat and whatnot there, and so they just have to bug out. So between Chief Dutra or whoever's riding the motorcycle and the antique cars, they'll be relatively fast.
What about the pedestrians that are older than the antique cars? They're supposed to.
Well, I didn't want to talk ill about you, sir,
Yeah,
but
no, that's where I'm going. Because that's what they said to us back in 07. I said, what about us? We're older than 50 and
yeah.
now I'm older than 60. I'm older than dirt.
Well, now they got these high-tech ice packs that you can wear. So
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
yeah, anyways, so we step off at 10 o'clock. The police department obviously is helping us with the road guards as well as we've asked for assistance from IELSN's, both Air National Guard and active duty security forces. So you'll have plenty of trained road guards and whatnot there. But we'll step off there and head down 5th Street. Our staging, or our reviewing stand, if you would, is going to be right there at Snowman, right there by the Santa Seniors. So that's where our public address system will be, and our MC and whatnot there. But we'll hit take 5th all the way there to Santa Claus Lane, make a right,
and then take it down there by the roundabout, right by the old Pizza Hut. Make the right turn heading towards Mount McKinley Bank and Santa Claus House, and then all the way back to where our staging area is. So it's just a nice thing there. And we've got a lot of interest in it, so we're very happy about that. So our next thing on the agenda is the You're Not Alone wall. I previously mentioned this here on my handout. I've actually given you a picture of it. So as well as there's a letter that we're sending out, it's attached to what I've given you here to all the different helping agencies, be it the churches or nonprofits or hospitals, clinics, whatever the case may be. So on Thursday, we have a meeting with Alaska Builders, who's going to help us build this wall. And so this wall is approximately 30 feet and also in total 30 feet in length, 10 or 11 feet tall, shaped like Mount McKinley. And in the arch of the belly of those, that shape there is going to be slate placards with all different identifications of helping agencies, of who they are, what they offer, and a QR code for whoever might be interested or whoever might be in need can take their phone, hit the QR code, and go straight to their website for the services there. So originally we envisioned making this out of concrete, and we proposed that Alaska Builders consider possibly doing an alternative, and that'd be steel. So three sheets of steel pinned together. One, we thought that might be cheaper. Two, it might be easier to assemble. And three, it'd probably be safer and give the kids would be less inclined to climb on it and whatnot there, as well as it'd make it easier to attach the slate plaques to. So anyways, our intent is originally we wanted to finish that in July. But that's going to be the end of August there. We're going to try to tie it in with the back to school week, if at all possible. So that's a big celebration, and that's going to the Terry Miller Memorial Park. The Welcome Center. So all the plans are final and whatnot there. We did have a bid opening on May 10th. We only had one bid, and it was an incomplete bid. Most of the contractors that had expressed interest in it there pretty much said, hey, with everything that we already have on our task list there, we're not bidding on anything that's happening starting before October. So, and plus with the materials and pipeline and all that stuff there. So what we did, we published a new RFP, and bid opening is on June 30th there, but it's slated for construction in 2024. So, and we've had several interested contractors already reach out to us there. So we think we're going to have a successful bid opening in that regard. Again, we still are dealing with an estimated cost of about $1 million to build it and what have you. As far as the funding, so to date, we've raised about $240K in cash and about another 80 to 90 that's in kind. Plus, we have a few others that they've asked me to stop by and pick up checks and whatnot there. So we're sitting just around $340,000 that we have raised for this effort here. It was a little bit disappointing to see the $600K CAPSIS project not make the state of Alaska budget, but that's fine. We'll reattack that. We do still have some foundation grants that we've submitted out there that are pending. One of the things on this that we kind of experienced is we are generally speaking, chambers of commerce are 501c6s versus a C3. We were originally, when we were originally formed, a C3, and then I think something happened in the middle of the 80s, and universally they converted all chambers to C6. And we've asked in February, we submitted paperwork there to ask for reclassification back to a C3, given that we've changed our whole mission set. So we think that's going to help us with all these corporations that want to do grants to 501c3 organizations. One of the events that we do have coming up here just around the corner, July 29th, it's we're doing a plated dinner. So an actual sit down plated dinner there, celebrating Christmas of past. If you can think about 1959, 1960 area there, it's kind of early statehood. That's the theme of the night there. We're doing over the hotel. It's going to be about 70 seats that are available. We're doing $100 a plate or $175 for a couple. We've got a really nice program.
Currently, we have actually have a speaker's request for the Governor Dunleavy to be there. So we're hoping to get a positive return there. If not, we'll try to get another popular person to bring in some great people into that event. We also are working on a masquerade wine tasting that's going to occur in October. So that's the case there. Just a reminder as far as our monthly events go. So we do. We used to do a cheers with the chamber in the evening. That was the third Thursday of the month. And what we realized is it's not well attended. And so we've shifted from every month to every other month and gonna increase our marketing on that. Again, the intent is just to rub elbows with the chamber members and learn what's going on and do some networking and whatnot. Our coffee with the chamber is still happening on a monthly basis on the second Tuesday over at the hotel from 9:30 to 10:30. And again, same premise. You can't make the luncheon and hear about all the things that are going on or our regular meetings here. This is an opportunity for us to network and share those updates. And then lastly is our luncheons. So our luncheons is always the fourth Tuesday of the month. And from 12 to 1, you order your food with Pagoda. They actually deliver it to the hotel by noon for you. So our next three luncheons, so the June luncheon, we originally had someone slotted to be the spotlight for that. They had to shuffle their schedule around. So we're hoping, I'm putting this in the public here, we're hoping to get Chief Dutra to come over and talk about the Trooper Memorial Park that day, primarily because we have the Trooper Memorial Park event in July. So it'll be a good prelude to it. So, but in July, we have Explore Fairbanks, and then August is the Department of Voc Rehab. So, so that's what I have to share with you there. We're still active and going and pushing hard. So questions, comments?
Yes,
Okay.
here. Do you share any of your schedule with KJNP?
Actually, we
Off the
do.
cuff. Do you do that on a regular basis or not?
Our social media person does, yes.
Okay, because when I'm there, I don't hear anything from it sometimes. I don't know if they're, yeah, they knew about Cruising with Santa.
Yeah.
They may know some of it, but they don't seem to know enough of it for whatever reason.
No, but I can make a note there
Yeah,
to maybe
just-
bolster that.
So try
Great,
to stay.
great feedback.
I think they're 488-2216.
I got the number of my phone.
Yeah, I have it right here. But then there's the same thing would go with the Air Force too. Are they familiar with what we're doing?
Oh, very
So they
much
could be
so.
invited.
And if you look at our board of directors there, so 4 of the 9 are actually tied directly with Eielson.
Okay,
We don't have anyone from Fort Wainwright there, but
right.
anyways,
So I'd ask you if you would like to be in touch with a Mr. Adam Cameron, and I'll get you his business card. I'll just take a photo of it and text it over to you. Adam Cameron from Camper Valley RV from Wasilla, to make a decision to open his RV sales and service center here in North Pole. He extended his contract with Kmart parking lot while he considers that, and he is strongly considering it. And it's also up to Three Bears if they want him to join them on track C down there. So, will you be at the June 28th at the library? I'd ask,
I can be if you can send me information there.
yeah, it's simple. Just be at the library at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Three Bears is going to do their briefing to the public about what they're going to put in the timeline.
Can you share that with me and I'll put it on the marquee?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll
so-
let the clerk do that.
Yeah.
What's your Madam Clerk?
She's making a
Thank you.
note. That's
Yeah.
our.
So that's on June 28th. That's so the council would know to be there too. It's on
Yeah.
Thursday night. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Now, Ms. Welch has a question or a comment.
Yes, so I was just curious, have you thought about maybe approaching the people who are tearing down our old convenience store down on the corner of St. Nicholas? They have logs and they posted on Facebook that they have those logs up for grabs for a donation type thing.
It
And
doesn't.
I would really suggest doing it because they went over those logs last year and finished them off. They look beautiful, the ones that are there. The only reason that they're tearing the whole thing down is that was bending in places it shouldn't be bending. But I thought,
It's a
you know,
novel idea and they had
I'm
that been
looking at
occurring.
your pretty
yeah.
picture with logs on the outside, and I'm thinking some of the things that you could probably do with those. Even if it meant that they were sawmill down to have just.
No,
have
that's
it
a great
like
idea.
Veneer of it, and I would imagine
Yeah.
that they would be very supportive in that.
Yeah, because the design actually is using log siding for the welcome center, so.
And I know we have a local North Pole business of some type that's
I'm from it.
advertising
The
a
sawmill,
log mill, a sawmill,
yeah,
yeah.
it's right down the road,
Yeah.
so. Very familiar with that one, so. No, that's a good input there, so, yeah, thank you.
So please, stay in touch with the clerk about the people on the festival committee. Some of them are council members here. And
Right,
there are other, members at large. It's not just the Grange, it's other members in the community that have
Right.
been pretty good in the past when we had a parade. Last time was in 19.
Right.
So you might want to solicit some support from those people too.
fantastic there. And like I told you earlier, we'd really like a full slate of all the committees and who's a member of
So you
them.
can provide that.
So we can share that with our chamber members there and whatnot there, so. Anything we can do to bolster the partnership, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Any else for Howard? Seeing none, thank you for your report.
Okay,
We'll be
gonna
working
gonna
with
mention
you.
one last thing because I forgot it. Yeah, I also attached to your thing. Your package was as far as our funding raising thing here is we're actually sponsoring a brick kind of thing here. So we're getting ready to launch this campaign. So kind of the average Joe who can't donate $1,000 or whatever, but they might be able to donate $100. So they're in this case here, we're launching this campaign. They sponsor a brick, and this is going to be in the entrance, the Arctic entryway. And we'll make a mosaic of all these bricks with people's names on it and whatnot there. So, so more to come on, this, which should be showing up on Facebook here in the next day or two. So this is one more way of getting us closer to that $1 million or so.
Sure.
Okay.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, Ms. Clack had. a
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry.
Is there a deadline for all of this? The donation factor for leave your mark for this brick donation?
For the brick one? No, there
Yes,
there is
is
not
it?
a deadline on that one there.
Okay.
So,
All right, so
Um,
you have to fill me
yeah,
out till
tell-
2024.
yeah, when
the
it's
building gets
constructed there,
going?
because that'll be one of the last things. It'll be a big mosaic on the right of the wall, right wall in the Arctic entryway. So,
Okay,
yeah, that'll be in the finishing touches there. So fantastic there. So,
all right,
Cool.
thank you.
thank you.
Let's see where we're going next. Let's push on here. There's no unfinished business, so we'll go to item 12A, resolution 2309. Trish, you want to come back up so we can discuss now that we've talked with Alliance Accounting? Do you want to talk to 2309?
Sure. Well, we knew that we weren't going to make the June 30 deadline, so the charter reads that if there's something beyond our control, that we could make a resolution to extend the audit. So that's what this is about, to make it to the second meeting of July, which I believe now is on the 25th,
24th.
24th. Okay.
But purposely chose the 24th, knowing that.
Okay.
Anybody want to have any discussion about it? Or do we want to get right into it?
We have to move to approve resolution 2309.
Second,
Okay,
Now we can discuss.
now we can discuss it. I didn't know if she wanted to. There's no one here in the public to talk to it, so we'll move on. So let's discuss it here. How, I couldn't get a good feeling from him. How hard is that going to be, in your opinion, to get there in 34 more days,
It's-
35 more days?
It's going to be difficult.
Okay, but it's doable.
It's doable if we don't have interruptions and we don't have to do tests and we don't have to,
Well, we don't have to do tests.
so.
That's things that are getting sort of out of hand by not coordinating. I don't mind telling you that from the office of the mayor, that sometimes we have to buckle down and do what's most important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been working on different things on and off. So we've what in essence, what we have is a lot of projects started for the audit, but not completed.
Okay,
So we're working on this, but we have to set it down and go over and do something else. And so that's where we're at now, just to try to ring it all in. And we're working with them to kind of, there's you know, different names for accounts. And that seems to be a little bit of an issue. And also we thought we had an understanding on how the Tyler works together as far as uploading to the general ledger. And so because we're working so long with Cassell, it's not exactly like Cassell, but it still has functions. It's just in a different way.
Okay,
So that's what we're trying to determine. And I had reached out to Tyler, their analyst, to just, this is what I think is happening. Can you confirm it or not?
do you consider, I'll call it for lack of a better term, I mean, just remember here tonight, we didn't even have this May 4th letter. You didn't
Yeah.
Have it, I mean, how did it?
I don't know. He just told me he probably emailed it to me, but I'm questioning the dates because what date did you go down
Yeah, I
to
know,
Anchorage? What
I'm questioning.
what
that
date?
too.
Wait, the
I left here-
22nd
I
of?
left here- No, I left here the 21st I was down there in Anchorage on the 21st. I left here the night of the 20th,
But what was Monday? Was it?
the 21st.
Okay, on the 21st, they both came out, Charles and Gary,
Mhm.
and that's where we got that first letter. That was on May 22nd. So
Were you even here
that-
then?
I was,
Okay. You're
yes,
Just coming back.
yes. So that letter that's dated the 28th of April is the first, 19th. That's the first letter we got. So how can this one be dated May? Because that one is the engagement letter,
We
which
got-
I have not sent him a signed copy of that
Right.
also.
Right.
So
I'm kind of wondering about, it, so. Okay. Well. I think we have to take that into consideration, but we're gonna have to press forward because we can't.
right, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's what's gonna have to happen. We're just gonna have to work until it's done and
Yeah.
work it out.
I mean, there's not much more wiggle room left in July, and I don't want to take it to the 31st.
No.
That's sort of like playing with fire.
But we have to be able to adopt it accept the audit, don't we, on the
Yes.
meeting of the
before we- Yeah,
24th?
before we do, yes.
Right.
So it does have to be accepted and approved by us, or accepted by us, before we can use it.
Right? He can't just be a draft. It has to be a
Has to be
final audit,
in its totality,
Right.
final audit with an opinion.
right? And there's
Yeah.
probably gonna have to be a response.
Right. Well, I might not respond to it right away. You know, how that goes.
Yeah, but
Because-
that's usually in the audit. So
Yeah, but I can't just respond to it on the flip of a switch. No one can. You have to have a proper amount of time to look at what their recommendations are to be able to reply to it.
Are they giving us a draft on the 24th or the final?
no, I'm just speaking in terms of what's happened in the past. Sometimes we'll get to this last meeting in June like today. So, but they don't have the bound audit because maybe they're waiting for a reply.
Yeah.
And so they'll give you a draft with no changes number wise. But it won't be a bound final until we get everything that they're asking us for as far as a response or a reply as to their opinion.
Yeah, I don't think.
We don't know what their opinion
We
is
don't know what
today.
their opinion is going to be. So how can I answer it
Right.
in less than 24 hours is what I'm trying to say. So
But if we do everything that they ask us to do, we should have a bound document on the Monday of the 24th, so we can accept it
Right, and he'll
and-
come out and talk
and be
and
sent
present
in
it.
for a grant.
Yeah,
That's what the goal is.
that's what the goal is.
that's why that date is specifically chosen. So,
I thought you specifically chose it because it was my birthday.
oh, I didn't know it was your birthday.
I like it.
Oh, we have to bring the cake. He has to eat it, blow
Yeah.
out the candle, get his wish. So, do we need to discuss the resolution anymore? Do we see any deficits of establishing that date? Only other thing we can call it is Christmas in July and say we'll do it as a standalone meeting on the 25th. It's the only other thing we can do, and that has to be noticed. The clerk noticed that she has
well-
to notice that.
Do a special meeting.
I think we should go with what's on the resolution and
too.
Too.
I think
That's
we
why I
should
chose
just,
that.
this
Mhm.
is- yeah. Call the question.
Madam Clerk, question has been called.
Okay, Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Welch,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clock,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? I don't see none, so the ayes have it. Unanimous. Thank you. We'll go to council comments. Who's first?
Mrs. Welch.
All right. Yeah, again, thank you to the police for allowing me to have 9 hours in a bulletproof vest. I can say that it was interesting to be out there to see everything that happened. I did notice that the bulletproof vest makes a very good place for you to rest your arms when you standing around waiting for somebody. So didn't protect us against the mosquitoes, so that was the one thing. But other than that, on a personal note, I'm having a lot of fun trying to see if I can get my garden in here before it hails again. So please make sure you in your prayers ask for nicer weather so we can actually start making some food out there. We were told yesterday when we were at the golf course that they had not opened the putting greens yet because the temperature of the ground was still around 50.
Hello?
So it did not make the grass grow, which is kind of sad. But other than that, from my experience out there with the police, please think about what our rules are for driving. Do not take your motorized vehicles out on the street if they are not registered. Make sure you protect your children and your passengers with proper helmets and so on and so forth when you take your off-road vehicles out there properly registered. And please do treat our police officer with the respect that they deserve, because they are treating you with the respect that you also deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Clock.
I just want to remind everybody that at the North Pole Library branch at 5 to 7 will be a 3-bear meeting for discussion and layout of what's going to happen with 3-bear store. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
I want to say happy Juneteenth. I did a little celebration here on Saturday at the Aldridge Park, hosted by the NAACP. It was fun. They had hamburgers, hot dogs, free food. They had activities for the kids. My niece, she actually won a bicycle. She was happy. She was smiling the whole time. And my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, so I want to wish her a happy birthday, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobson.
No comment, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Well, this has been a whirlwind 3 weeks or so. I didn't cover everything in council comments. I almost forgot about letting Danny tell us where we're going with combined heat and power. But I'll tell you right now, it's in a stalemate, and I'm a little dismayed about what I heard from General Nahom last night. I don't know what that's going to portend for our future, but when I do know, I'll share it with the council. But at this juncture, we are out there, out and about, trying to get businesses to come here and to be able to bring a major corporation just by the fact that they want to invest in Alaska. They have invested in other states, and they want to come up here and see what they could do to help us build not just assisted care facility, but senior housing. That could speak volumes to what this community needs. So I'm not always so gaga that our housing is going to be just for military families. It could be for our families, for our community as well. And in the essence of time, I'll ask somebody to go towards calling for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, so we're adjourned at 35. Thank you.
Don't wait till the day that you're done on council, you're not gonna move to adjourn.
Oh,
Huh?
jeez.
Can't wait. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Good night, Melissa.